Hi guys, today we are going to see LeetCode problem number 196, delete duplicate emails. Marked as easy. Let's check the problem statement, try to understand it and solve it. So they have provided the SQL schema in here so that we can build a table by our own in our own SQL platform. If you want to build by your own, you can copy this one and paste it in your SQL platform. They have provided table persons table contains column name, ID and email, and the data types are integer and varchar. ID is the primary key column for this table. Each row of this table contains an email. The email will not contain uppercase letters. Okay, now let's move forward and check what they want us to find out from here. Write an SQL query to delete all the duplicate emails, keeping only unique email with the smallest ID. Note that you are supposed to write a delete statement, not a select one. And we can return the results table in any order. Okay, so till now what we got from here, that this person table contains only the ID and email, and there might be a possibility that there will be duplicate emails, and we have to delete those duplicate records. And which records we should delete? Only if there is a duplicate email, only the ID which is smaller, those ID, those records we need to delete. Let's take an example to understand it more precisely. So they have provided this person table contains ID 1, 2, 3, and these are the emails. Now in these three emails we can see ID 1 has the email john@example.com, as well as ID 3 has john@example.com. So these two are duplicate emails. So which one we should delete? We should delete ID 3, and the result will contain ID 1, this first two records, because whenever there is a duplicate email, we'll delete the records. We'll keep the records which is the smallest ID, and we'll delete the record which is the biggest ID, higher ID. Okay, so this is our output. So let's try to understand how we are going to proceed to write the query. So there is multiple ways to solve this one, but I would say the most easy way or straightforward way is to use a self join, because we need to compare same records within a same column, the email column. Okay, so there is another way I will show you after I'll write the query using join. Okay, so let's take a note of the syntax of delete. Okay, so this is delete, then we have to write the table name. We are deleting the persons table. Okay, so person. Now what we should delete from, let's give person again, and let's give it a alias of p1. And okay, from person p1 we are going to join same table, that will be self join again person p2. And on what condition we'll join? On p1 dot email equal to p2 dot email. And also one more condition, because we are joining here as well as we're deleting the record uh, which has the same email ID, and the ID which ID is bigger. If the email ID is same, which ID is higher, that record will delete it. So we have to write the condition for that as well. So we'll write p1 dot id is less than p2 dot id, and we are going to delete table p2 on that which you are creating the self join. Okay, so this we have to visualize this thing, because we can't write select query in here. So what is happening in here? So we are just joining the same person table. We are creating the self join in this person's table, and what we are checking, we are checking if the email ID is same, delete, and also check p1 id should be less than p2 id. Okay, delete that record. Let's try to run this query and see if it works or not. Yeah, we can see it worked perfectly, and we just need to careful when we are writing delete related queries, because definitely it is going to do a permanent impact on our database. So this kind of question normally doesn't very common, doesn't very frequent in interview questions. So it is not a typical interview question, I would say, but still it is very good. It is good to uh, keep a note or learn this delete things. It can ask anytime just to check how much you know about delete or update statement, something like that. Okay, so there's another way to do this one, which is like uh, without join. So let's uh, try to do by not using join. So the delete syntax will be same: delete person table from person. Let's give it alias p, and we are going to remove instead of person we can write in here the alias. Okay, p where id not equal to. So here we are going to write the another query, that is correlated query. Select, what we are doing, we are going to find where the email uh, where there in the same column where the email is same, and we'll find the minimum id of it. And we are not going to delete that id, but we are going to delete other ids other than this minimum id. Okay, so minimum of id. Okay, from, again, persons table. Okay, so persons table, and we have to write another where statement in here, where uh, email equal to p dot email. So just check here what it is this query is doing. This query is going to find the minimum id where the email from this person table is equal to p dot email from this table. So actually this is checking the same table, but we just to find the minimum id we did it like that way. And after it finds the minimum id, it is going to delete everything when the id is not there. That means other than that minimum id, it is going to delete everything. Okay, when the email is same. Let's try to run this code, see if it works or not. Yeah, we can see it works perfectly. Now let's try to submit our code and see if it passes other test cases. Yes, and we can see our query is totally fine. It is very fast, very optimized, and it is 92.67% faster than other SQL submissions. So this is just to let you know, this is not very frequent, but always uh, good to know this kind of delete syntax, and to be prepared any kind of questions which can appear in the interview. This is definitely asked in any of the interview questions, but uh, from a personal experience, I would say uh, I have never seen any interviewer asking any uh, delete query to write in the interview. So just practice it by your own, and I'll come up with another LeetCode SQL problem. Till then, bye and happy coding.